Have you ever wondered, who is it that listens when you think? Not the voice you hear inside your mind. The one that repeats, analyzes, criticizes, plans, and replays. No, not that. But the one behind it. The one that listens. Most people never ask that question. They live entirely inside the noise of their thoughts, believing that this chatter is who they are. But what if that inner voice isn't truly yours? What if every thought you think is merely a whisper passing through you? An echo from a deeper place? There is an ancient secret hidden in plain sight. You are not the voice. You are the space that hears it. Your thoughts are not commands, they're suggestions. They rise and fall like waves on an ocean that remains unmoved. And the moment you recognize this, the moment you stop identifying with the thinking and begin to notice the listener, you begin to awaken. This video is an exploration of that subtle but profound truth. We will uncover the nature of your inner monologue, how it's formed, where it might actually come from, and why realizing its illusory nature may be the key to your inner freedom. Along the way, you'll be shown forgotten wisdom from ancient traditions, psychological insights reimagined through esoteric understanding, and practices you can apply today to hear, maybe for the first time, what's really speaking beneath your thoughts. Are you ready to hear what's been silently speaking to you all along? Long before neuroscience sought to map the brain, long before psychology labeled thoughts as cognitive processes, the ancients already whispered of a silent witness within. In the Upanishads, the sages spoke of the Atman, the eternal self, as distinct from the thinking mind. The thoughts, they said, are like clouds, transient, ever-changing. But the true self is the sky behind them, constant, vast, unmovable. In Greek philosophy, this was mirrored in the teachings of Plotinus, who described the soul's descent into the world of form, entangling itself in thought and identity until it forgets the silence from which it came. The Hermetic texts go even deeper. In the Corpus Hermeticum, thought is described as a vehicle, a transmitter of impressions, but not the origin of truth. Hermes Trismegistus warns of becoming ensnared by the phantoms of the mind, reminding us that truth emerges only when we become still enough to receive it. In other words, thinking isn't the act of creating reality, but the act of translating vibrations already present in the field. This idea resurfaces centuries later in the mystical Christian tradition. The Desert Fathers wrote of logismoi, intrusive thoughts that arise from the ego, and taught that true spiritual clarity comes not from controlling thought, but from witnessing it without ownership. Even modern minds, like Carl Jung, spoke of the unconscious, not as a passive backdrop, but as an active force that speaks in symbols and dreams. To Jung, thoughts often originate from archetypal layers far deeper than the personal self. What we think, we do not always author. We channel, we inherit, we listen. All of these traditions, Hermetic, Hindu, Christian, mysticism, Jungian psychology, they converge on one profound realization: that the voice in your head is not you. It may speak in your language, carry your fears, echo your past, but it is not your essence. You are the field that hears, the awareness beneath the words, the listener behind the noise. And once you stop confusing yourself with the voice, the illusion begins to fall away. What remains is presence, stillness, clarity. This ancient recognition, once understood, changes everything. There is a voice inside you, and it speaks without pause. It has opinions, fears, rehearsals. It anticipates arguments before they happen. It judges others. It judges you. And yet, here's the question. If you are the one listening to this voice, then who is speaking? Most people never ask that. They simply live inside the voice, identifying with it so completely that the very question feels absurd. But the moment you turn your attention inward, not to the thought itself, but to the space it moves through, something begins to unravel. Your thoughts appear like ripples on a pond, but you are not the ripples. You are the water beneath them. And just as a pond reflects the sky above, your mind reflects what it has absorbed. From parents, culture, trauma, media, fear. The voice you hear inside is not original. It's programmed. This is why, when you think you're not creating new knowledge, you are accessing patterns. You're remembering, projecting, reassembling fragments of the past, and calling them now. But there is something deeper than the patterns, something still. That stillness is where the real you lives. Let's be clear. You do not think your thoughts. You receive them. Just as a radio does not create music, but tunes into frequencies, your mind is a receptive instrument. What you call thinking is often nothing more than the internal reception of vibrations, emotional, culturally energetic, processed through your memory and biases. This explains why thoughts appear uninvited, why they repeat compulsively, why they often contradict your deeper values. And yet we suffer under the illusion of authorship. We believe we are the thinker, when in truth we are the awareness that notices thinking happening. Here lies the key distinction. The voice in your mind is not your enemy. It's not evil or broken. It is simply reactive, a survival machine running on autopilot. Its job is to anticipate threats, replay past mistakes, strategize control. But when left unchecked, it becomes your prison. You don't think anymore. You're thought through. You become possessed by the very process meant to serve you. But what happens when you observe this voice instead of obeying it? You begin to hear the gaps between thoughts, the silence that holds them, the calm behind the storm. And in that silence, a different intelligence emerges, not loud, not forceful, not anxious, but calm, spacious, aware. This is the beginning of what mystics call the second birth, the moment when the false self, the chattering voice, no longer controls your identity. From this space, life begins to change. You no longer react. You respond. You no longer panic. You perceive. You no longer chase clarity. You dwell in it. But to get there, you must first admit something radical. The voice in your head isn't you. It's just the noise. You are the one who listens. If the voice in your head isn't truly you, then who or what is shaping the stream of thoughts that pass through you? This is where the mystery deepens, because the voice is not random. It has texture. It has memory. Sometimes it speaks with the sharpness of old wounds. Other times, it echoes the tone of someone you once loved. And occasionally, just occasionally, it says something so clear, so profound, that it stops you in your tracks. You see, not all thoughts come from the same place. Some are the residue of past experiences, looping like broken records. These are the shadows of the unconscious, unresolved stories, replaying until they are seen. Others are echoes from society, absorbed silently, cultural expectations, fears of inadequacy, beliefs inherited but never questioned. These are the imprints of the collective, but there is a rarer kind of thought, One that doesn't scream, doesn't judge, doesn't panic. It arrives in stillness. It feels clean, quiet, undeniably true. This is not the thought you chase, it's the one that arrives when you stop chasing. It emerges from a deeper source, call it your higher self, the universal mind, or the divine current that flows through all beings. Mystics throughout time described this moment in many ways. In Sufism, it is the Sama, the sacred listening, where the seeker becomes so silent inwardly that the truth begins to sing through them. In Taoism, it is Wu Wei, the effortless action that arises when one stops interfering with the flow. In Hermeticism, it is the alignment with the one mind, the eternal source from which all forms arise. The Corpus Hermeticum teaches when we cease to identify with the lower mind, what it calls the opinionated soul, we open ourselves to gnosis, a knowing that is not thought, but received in silence. This kind of inner knowing does not argue. It does not rush. It does not repeat. It reveals. You might feel it when a sudden insight washes over you without warning. When you're walking, dreaming, or staring at the stars, and something clicks into place. Not with logic, but with resonance. You don't arrive at the thought. The thought arrives at you. And this is the paradox. While you believe you're the one thinking, you're often just listening to the echo of your conditioning. But the moment you become truly silent inside, you begin to listen on another level. You tune into something beneath the thought, beyond it, something eternal. It doesn't speak in sentences. It speaks in essence, in feeling, in alignment. This shift is not always dramatic. Often it's subtle. It may feel like a deep exhale, a quiet yes. The soft voice that says, "You don't have to carry this anymore. And here's what few are told. You cannot force this voice to speak. You can only become still enough to hear it. You cannot chase this clarity. You can only stop running from the noise that keeps it hidden." This is why so many spiritual traditions emphasize silence, stillness, breath, surrender. Not as ends in themselves, but as gateways. Once you stop identifying with every passing thought, you begin to feel the difference between noise and truth. Thoughts will still come, but now you know some are echoes, some are illusions, and some are messengers from a deeper realm. Learning to distinguish them is the beginning of freedom. Understanding that your thoughts are not truly you is liberating. But unless this realization is anchored in practice, it remains an idea, a concept floating in the mind. To truly disidentify from the voice in your head, you must learn to return again and again to the place that hears it. The first practice is simple. Listen, without attachment. Several times a day, pause, just stop, and become aware of your inner voice. Don't try to silence it, don't argue with it. Simply observe. Watch it, as you would watch wind moving through trees, and gently ask yourself, who is hearing this? That question alone creates a space, a pause, a doorway. In that gap, the voice begins to lose its grip. The second practice is breath awareness. When the mind becomes loud, when the thoughts start circling like birds in a storm, return to the breath, feel it moving in and moving out. The breath doesn't belong to the past. It doesn't reach for the future. It only exists now. And now is where your true self waits. Third, label the voice, but don't obey it. If a thought arises, "I'm not good enough, this will go wrong, they don't like me," pause. Gently name it. Ah. Fear. Ah. Memory. Ah. Expectation. Naming is a sacred act. It separates the content from your consciousness, and over time this creates distance between you and the noise. Fourth, practice sacred pauses before reacting. When something triggers you, anxiety, anger, doubt, take a breath. Ask, is this reaction truly mine? Or is it just noise again? That pause is not weakness, it is power. In that space, you choose awareness instead of autopilot. Finally, engage in a daily moment of inner silence. You don't need hours. Start with 1 minute. 2. Sit. Close your eyes and listen, not to your thoughts, but to the silence beneath them. That silence is not empty, it's alive. And the more you rest in it, the more you begin to feel its intelligence. And that's when something sacred happens. Thought becomes quieter, and intuition begins to rise. These are not complicated techniques, but their power lies in repetition. You are not training the mind. You are retraining your relationship with the mind. And with each small shift, the identity you thought was you begins to dissolve. What's left is peace, awareness, presence. This isn't about suppressing thought, it's about remembering who you are. When thought is no longer in charge, you've heard the voice, the one that never stops speaking. It tells you what you are, what you should fear, what might go wrong. It fills your mind with stories, some borrowed, some broken, some disguised as truth. And for so long, you believed that voice was you, but now, something else has awakened. You've glimpsed the silence behind the voice. You've touched the stillness that doesn't argue, that doesn't justify, that doesn't panic. That stillness is not passive emptiness. It is you, the real you, the one who listens, the one who sees, the one who simply is. When you begin to live from that space of awareness, everything shifts. You respond instead of react. You breathe before you speak. You observe without clinging. Life softens. And even when the mind speaks again, as it surely will, you know the difference now. You know who's truly in control. This is not a one-time realization. It is a practice, a path, a return. Again and again, you come back, not to silence itself, but to the you that has always been listening within it. So the next time a thought rises, pause. Don't push it away, just listen and remember, you are not the voice. You are the space it echoes through. And if this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you of a truth you've always known but never quite named, then allow yourself to go deeper. Subscribe. Return. There are still many mysteries to uncover, and silence is only the beginning. The voice may speak, but the listener is free.